You're all that I need. Bye. You're all that I need to get by. Oh, shit. What's happening, Fantasy World? It's your boy, Hot Soup. Coming to you live for our week 4 overachievers. That's right. We're going to go over our top 10 overachievers. Those guys that was probably on benches, probably on waiver wires, but went slap off in week 4. And we're going to go ahead and start out with Mr. Justin Fields, man. Justin Fields in week 4 looked like the Terminator. That's right. Yeah. Jay Fields versus Indianapolis goes off for 312 yards through the air. Jay Fields threw for 312. Say what? And he had a touchdown. Also went off for 10 rushes, 55 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was the number 1 QB in week 4. And I know a lot of people been saying, man, go pick him up, go pick him up, go pick him up. You know, he's been playing decent, but no one thought that he was going to turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's right, man. 31.98 points, the number 1 fantasy quarterback in week 4. Jay Fields, shout out to them Steelers, even though they took the L. And our number 2 player on our overachievers for week 4 was Jordan Love. Oh, who's seen that one coming? Coming off an injury. You know, we thought that we might not see this guy until week 5, week 6. Man, he came back in week 4 and lit they ass up. Over in Minnesota defense is great right now. They are doing a thing, but Jordan Love hangs 4 TDs on their neck. That's right. Ended up the number 2 fantasy score in week 4. This man had 389 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He had 1 rush for 6 yards. Not that mobile, but boy, was he slinging that thing through the air. Look, Green Bay was down big in this game. And when I say he was on a comeback mission, he was on a comeback mission. That boy back out and running on the track right now. Jordan Love, 31.16 fantasy points, the number 2 overall quarterback in fantasy scoring. And our number 3 player on our overachiever list. I feel the need for speed. That's right, Mr. Jayden Reed, receiver. Oh, the receiver over there in Green Bay. Look, when Jordan Love was out, mediocre. When Jordan Love is in, this guy is a rock star. He was the number 2 overall receiver in fantasy scoring in week 4. Jayden Reed with 7 receptions, 139 yards, and a touchdown, kind of looking like his game 1 with Jordan Love. Man ended up with 23.6 fantasy points. Again, number 2 receiver overall in fantasy scoring in week 4 was Jayden Reed. I feel the need for speed, Jayden Reed. And our number 4 player on our overachievers for week 4, Dontayvion Wicks pulled out his bag of tricks. Boy, did he. That's another receiver from Green Bay. 2 receivers from Green Bay ended up number 2 and number 3 overall receivers in fantasy points and scoring. That's because that boy Jordan Love threw for the almost 400 yards. Dontayvion Wicks versus Minnesota goes off for 5 receptions, 78 yards, and 2 tuds. That's right, good for 22.3 fantasy points. Dontayvion Wicks pulled out that bag of tricks. Good Lord. Boy did his thing, man. Now, I'm not saying go get this guy off the waiver wires. You got Christian Watson over there. You got Dobbs over there, man. Jacobs is going to be getting that pill. Hey, you even got the tight ends doing their thing. So, with that said, I'm not saying Dontayvion Wicks, go pick him up, go pick him up. If you got receiver issues, you might want to go put him on your bench, but I'm not saying start him. But that guy, Jayden Reed, needs to be in your lineups, lock and loaded. And our number 5 player off the board, Jordan Addison, is back. That's right, man. That man only needed 4 touches to be the number 4 overall receiver in fantasy scoring in week 4. Y'all see how I did that? 4, 4, 4. Yo, listen, man. Jordan Addison went slap off. 1 rush, 7 yards, 1 TD. 3 receptions, 72 yards, another TD. That man was good for 21.4 fantasy points, the number 4 overall receiver in fantasy scoring this week. He did his thing. He is here to stay. Jordan Addison was the man last year. Listen, Sam Darnold needs to be rostered in 100% of leagues. Let me tell you why. Jordan Addison is a weapon. He has the best receiver in the NFL in Justin Jefferson. He has Aaron Jones, who is a great pass catching back, and TJ Hawkinson, a top 3 tight end that's going to be coming off of injury. Listen, that man got so many weapons, and he is throwing TDs. When I say Sam Darnold needs to be on everyone's lineup, I started him this week. I'm starting him every week. I'm putting him over the likes of shit. After what I seen Josh Allen do, he might be over the Josh Allen. I might be benching Josh Allen. That's right. I said it, man. Sam Darnold is the man, and Jordan Addison is going to be a beneficiary of that. Touchdown Sam is what we need to call it. Touchdown Darnold is what we need to start calling this guy. It is what it is. And our number 6 player on our overachievers this week, Chicago has been given a gift. That's right. That boy, DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift against LA gets 23 touches for 165 yards and a tutty. He has 7 targets out the backfield, man. Kalen Williams was throwing him the pill as well. Listen, 16 rushes, 7 receptions. This man has 7 targets, 7 receptions. That's a 100% catch rate. DeAndre Swift ends up with 26 fantasy points, the number 2 overall running back in fantasy scoring in week 4. Bear down in the spirit of Mr. Walter Payton, DeAndre Swift. Let's go. And our number 7 player on our overachievers for week 4, Chase Brown, all 10 toes down. That's right. Running back, who we thought was playing second fiddle, is now in a 50-50 split. Listen, him and Moss both got 15 carries, but he did way more with those carries. 15 carries, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions for 12 yards. Ended up the number 4 overall scoring back in fantasy in week 4 with 22.2 points over in Cincinnati, man. The Nasty Natty has a good problem. Fantasy managers, we have a bad problem. Now, Moss and Chase Brown are going to be in a 50-50 split. Who knows who's going to get the hot hand? Who knows who's going to get the goal line work? I mean, we thought that Zach Moss would get all the goal line touches. Nah, that did not happen. However, Zach Moss had a productive day, but Chase Brown, just better yardage per carry. It is what it is. And our number 8 player, another running back. He's from the Commanders. And no, it's not Brian Robinson Jr. We're talking about Jeremy Nichols. That's right. Brian Robinson Jr. had a day, but so did Jeremy Nichols versus Arizona. 8 rushes, 68 yards, 2 tutties, and 1 reception for 6 yards. Man had 19.9 fantasy points, ended up the number 7 overall running back in fantasy scoring in week 4. Jeremy Nichols, man, shout out to you. Now, that's because Eckler was out. If Eckler comes back, who is Nichols, right? Who is McNichols? We don't know who this guy is. I mean, we know who he is, but we didn't think he was going to be getting no touches. Hey, Eckler was out. The man got the call, and he showed up, and he showed out. However, I'm not saying go out on the waivers and try to pick this guy up, man. Eckler will be back. He had a mild concussion. He will be back for this week. We will not see McNichols any longer. So, with that said, great job, Jeremy. But for you fantasy managers, don't be so quick to go out there and drop one of your players for this guy. He will not be getting work in the future. And our number 9 player was a tight end / quarterback. That's right. Y'all know what it is, man. Taysom Hill was toting that pill. Taysom Hill gets 6 rushes, 24 yards, 2 tutties. Listen, I don't know what was going on, game script, but every time they got within the 5-yard line, they was pulling Kamara and putting Hill in that game. They would pull Derek Carr. Taysom Hill was getting straight quarterback work. I'm going to run it up the middle, and y'all can't stop it. It is what it is, man. Some days Taysom Hill's going to have these days. Some Sundays he won't. Do you want to risk a start of Taysom Hill on a game where he could get 5 carries for 45 yards and 2 tutties, or 5 carries for 5 yards and 0 tutties? Hey, that's on you, fantasy world. Taysom Hill ended up being the number 1 tight end overall in fantasy scoring with 14.4 points with his versus Atlanta with those totes. And our number 10 player, nobody saw this coming. Tucker Kraft was no macaroni and cheese this weekend. Tucker Kraft versus Minnesota goes off for 6 receptions, 53 yards, and a tutty, and a 2-point conversion. Man, did his thing. Number 2 in tight end scoring this week, right behind Taysom Hill with 14.3 points. Tucker Kraft, man, do your thing, baby boy. Those are our top 10 players for overachievers in week 4. Come check us out on our next episode for top 10 underachievers. You know, those guys that were lock and loaded, set it and forget it type guys that had terrible outings. We're going to talk about it. Check me out on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. It's your boy Hot Soup. Like and subscribe. If you have any questions, any type of lineup issues, man, inbox me. I'll get back to you within 24 hours. It's your boy Soup, and I'm out.